Rising, third floor, a darn good read original series. I'd become quite accustomed with my new living arrangements. Compared to the years walking in the desert, I was now living like a king. Technically, I still had nothing to call mine. Even the weapon that had carried me this far was destroyed in my last brawl. I had been invited into the crowd to watch others fighting. I felt unease joining the bizarre creatures that filled the stands. Monstrosities of all shapes and sizes, each more sinister than the next. They all acted like wild animals, fighting and attacking each other. When the announcer began to speak, the crowd went silent, with all eyes on the dirt below. The man speaking was the same that had joined me at the feast after my last duel. He gave the exact same speech as before, and the fight began. To my confusion, I saw the same combatant that I had eliminated. The same gladiator with the white beard, the same bludgeon he had used against me. The challenger opposing him was much smaller than even I. His dark skin flashed across the stadium as he dashed with blinding speed at the old gladiator. My old opponent took one swing at the challenger. The attack was dodged, and the man plunged a knife into the base of his skull, ending the fight in one swift attack. After the conclusion of the duel, I was promptly escorted to a new room. I was left alone for quite some time, waiting for what was next to come. After some time, I was joined by the victor from the fight I had watched. At first, we both remained guarded, untrusting of each other. Neither of us were armed, but still we kept our distance from one another. I was the first to speak. "Hello, friend. My name is Cruel. I must say, I enjoyed watching your fight." "Thank you. I am called Dakurai," he responded. We continued to exchange pleasantries until an aberration entered our room. The monstrosity motioned for us to follow him, so we did, into the largest armory I had ever seen. Every manner of weapon hung on the wall, most of which I had no idea how they would be used in a battle. As we were inspecting the weapons, the king appeared in the room with us and began to explain. "I see the two of you have become acquainted. This is good. You shall know each other well. Cruel, Dakurai, your next fight will require you to aid each other, should you want to survive. Your next opponent is no mere man, but a demon on the battlefield. Please choose your weapons and proceed into the arena." He disappeared before our eyes as he finished his speech. Dakurai wasted no time choosing his weapons. A set of daggers, black as pitch, and about a foot long each. They were slightly curved, with a handle that covered his knuckles. On each handle was a spike, roughly 3 inches in length. After witnessing his speed, he made a wise choice. I took some time looking around the room until one of the weapons caught my attention. It was as if it had actually spoken to me. A golden staff in the shape of a serpent stretched straight. The head of the serpent was heavy and covered in spikes, its fangs protruding down past its lower jaw. The tail end of the serpent was shaped into a bladed triangle. The weapon seemed to glow from within as I picked it up. I nodded to Dakurai, and we proceeded towards the door of the Colosseum. I began to speak before walking through. Dakarai, I've seen your speed. If you can get the attention of this opponent, I will finish it with one blow while it is distracted. I will not let you fall. It shall be done. Do not hesitate, Dakarai responded coldly. As we stepped through, the crowd roared. The king had not lied when he said we were fighting a demon, an actual demon. The Goliath that stood on the far side was death incarnate. Its red eyes stared into our souls. Huge, black, pointed thorns erected from its skull. Standing well over 10 feet tall, it stood menacingly in opposition. I looked over at Dakarai, who stood there with a resolve that settled my nerves. King's voice echoed through the stadium as the crowd immediately ceased making noise. It has been some time since we have had two stand here. Let us see if they can continue up the tower. Contenders, fight or die. With that, the demon on the far side sprinted toward us. The ground shook as it made its approach. A roar silenced the stadium. In fear, I was frozen stiff, until I watched my comrade running straight for the abomination. Dakarai's battle cry snapped me from my trance, and I charged the demon with him. The monster swung one of its massive arms toward Dakarai, who slid between the creature's legs. Slashing at its ankles, he hardly did any damage to the behemoth. It turned and swung again. This time Dakarai rolled aside and back onto his feet. With the monster focused on Dakarai, I raced to his aid, plunging my staff into the back of the demon's leg. It let out a roar as it swung back and knocked me away like a bug. I flew back and crashed hard. Before the demon could get to me, Dakarai was behind it, slashing wildly at the back of the demon's knee. Still standing, the demon turned back toward Dakarai and rushed him, knocking him onto his back. It towered over him, with a foot on his chest. The air compressed from his lungs. Dakarai raised his daggers, plunging them deep into the demon's ankles. It screeched and crashed to the ground next to Dakarai. Dizzy from the blow that had knocked me away, I got to my feet. I sprinted toward the downed demon and leapt high into the air. I drove my staff into the demon's forehead, right between the eyes. With a twitch, it sent me flying again. As I hit the ground, the demon disappeared in a puff of smoke. We had won the battle. I helped my battered comrade to his feet and picked up my weapon. We made our way to the center of the Colosseum. King had begun to speak again, this time showing excitement. Congratulations, contenders. Proceed up the stairs. Your next battle shall start very soon. The crowd roared as he made his exit. Dakarai and I limped up the stairs to find a new room for both of us, filled with food and beautiful beds for us to rest upon. We waited to be called upon by the king to fight once more.